At the end of the day, people won't remember what you said or did. They will remember how you made them feel. Maya Angelou.
Welcome to the Simply Retirement Podcast with your host, Eric Blake. This show offers valuable insights and advice on retirement planning, specifically tailored for women. Join us as we explore various challenges that arise during retirement planning and discuss practical ways to overcome them. With years of experience in retirement planning as a financial professional, Eric brings a wealth of knowledge to the table. He is joined by guests who will also offer unique perspectives and insights. Together, they provide practical tips and strategies to help you delegate some of the heavy lifting and make the most of your retirement. Whether you are a widow, divorced, or simply ready to take control of your financial future, this podcast is designed to help you navigate the complexities of retirement planning and make the most of this exciting phase of life. We take a step-by-step approach to help you understand what's next and guide you through the retirement planning journey. So sit back, relax, and let us help you build your retirement on your terms with another episode of the Simply Retirement Podcast with Eric Blake.
Welcome to the Simply Retirement Podcast with your host, Eric Blake. I'm Wendy McConnell. Hello, Eric. How are you?
I am awesome. I'm super excited to be here with you today and looking forward to getting this started.
It's the very first episode of the Simply Retirement Podcast, and we're going to start each and every episode with a quote like you just heard. And tell us the reasoning behind that, Eric.
To me, quotes are one of those things that it's almost like affirmations. When you wake up in the morning, what gets you started, what gets you on the right track? And to me, quotes are extremely important. I started this, what I call Wisdom Wednesdays on social media, probably 3 years ago now. And it's really just something that something that speaks to me, a particular quote that just stuck out in my head for whatever reason and felt like it got me on the right track. So I decided I would start sharing those on social media as well. But this one in particular, this is the one that it's like a daily affirmation. I try to read this every single day because it really drives what my thought process is on a daily basis to make sure that I'm keeping the values that are most important to me in front of me and working towards doing what's best for our clients. And again, with financial planning, and we'll get into all this, I'm sure, but with financial planning, that really is what it comes down to. How are your clients feeling about your relationship? Do they feel like they can trust you, that you're doing the right thing for them? And we can talk about all the taxes and all the details of this and that, but ultimately it's just, how do they feel? Do they feel confident in where you have them going in retirement or whatever their financial goals are? Do they trust you to help you get them there?
And I have to say, I love it. I'm a huge fan of quotes. I love affirmations. I love all of that hippy dippy woo woo stuff.
And you just never know what might speak to somebody in a particular day. I love that quote. That's one of the quotes I live by. There's another one by Zig Ziglar that you'll get anything you want if you help enough people get what they want. So those are the two. I talk about those two all the time. Anytime somebody asks me, well, what are your favorite quotes? Those are the two that I bring up. But on the other quotes, the ones I plan to look for, ideally they'll tie to the show. But ultimately, does one to speak to somebody that makes a difference in how they think about their life or how they think about their finances, whatever it might be. And quotes are they're amazing. I love them. I'm a quote person.
Me too. And you just took number two. You just ruined it. You just said number two.
I've got number two lined up. We're good. I've got them for days and days.
I was worried.
No. I got the next one lined up.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about you, Eric. So how did you make the decision to get into this industry? Tell us a little bit about your history.
So it's really interesting. So my wife, who is now one of our team members, and I'm sure we'll get a chance to talk about that as well, but she was a teacher for 25 years. And it was very early on, probably within her second year, maybe even first year, she went to a seminar where a financial advisor was doing a presentation for the teachers during an in-service day. And she got a lot of value out of it. And we together went in, we sat down with a financial advisor, we went through the planning process, and I immediately knew this is what I wanted to do. And you think about, the chance, we always feel like we want to make a difference in people's lives and whatever we do. And, sometimes it takes you a while to figure what that is, but this was it. I knew pretty quickly that financial planning, helping people make smart financial decisions, this is what I wanted to do. We went through the process. at that time in our lives, we were mid-20s, looking at life insurance and all these different things we needed to protect our young family. As many young families do, we had a little bit of credit card debt. So what's the plan to get rid of that? But starting outlining, having a plan, and what is it that we can do to proactively meet our financial goals, but seeing the financial advisor's role in that and how they can facilitate that and provide knowledge and education on helping people make the right choices. It was eye-opening, and that was it. I knew pretty quickly before we got to the end of the process, going through the process with that advisor. And I still remember her, and she helped me get started in the business at the time. But it was just an amazing time in my life to realize, this is what I wanted to do. And it was on from there. As I say, it was all history from there.
It was like a lightning bolt.
Absolutely. Yes.
So what were you doing before that?
So I got an accounting degree and realized very quickly that I didn't want to do accounting.
Oh, no.
So it didn't take long.
Do that.
Yeah. So I got my accounting degree, took the CPA exam, didn't really take it seriously. I think I passed maybe one part of it. And again, it wasn't the passion there that I thought it might be, which, surprise, huh? That, accounting is not a passionate endeavor. But so I did that for a few years. A couple of different things. I was with this little software services company for a while, just doing accounting. But then when this opportunity, when I realized there was such a thing as financial advisors, that was a real thing.
Yeah.
That it wasn't a long time. I was ready to go.
There you go. So who do you work with? Do you have like a so-called specialty?
We do. So, when you first get started, so this is 1999. So when I got started, my joke is that I got about probably 6 months of a good stock market right at the end of the tech bubble.
Oh, no.
And then it just all hell broke loose for 3 straight years after that. So I got thrown into the fire really, really quick.
I bet.
So, when you're in, and that's unfortunately with the financial advisor world, if you can get through those first few years, then you can probably make it. But it was a challenge to say the least. But when you're in that those first few years, you kind of, as they say, you work with anybody who can fog a mirror, right? But as you continue learning more, and you kind of find your niche, or you find what your passions are. And the first version of that was, I figured out that I really love retirement income planning, because it's such a different process. And at least, again, this is my opinion. I'm biased, obviously, but it's such a different process when you're thinking about how to take money out than when you're putting money in. Because you spend your whole life, you spend 40 plus years of your career putting money in your 401ks, trying to stay disciplined, again, stay out of debt, all these different things that, it's really, it can be broken down to discipline to some extent. But when you get to that retirement income phase, and how do I actually turn this into a paycheck, because I no longer have a paycheck, that was really, really intriguing to me. We talk about the implications of taxes, Social Security. Social Security is, to me, one of the most underrated retirement income sources. Probably a lot of it because people don't understand it. But I compare retirement income, it's just like a puzzle. You got all these pieces of, a 401k sitting over at this employer, an IRA sitting over here, and a Roth IRA over there, and maybe even maybe multiple 401ks. And then what do I do about Social Security? And you have to start taking all these pieces and putting them into the puzzle, which hopefully creates, that puzzle is the vision of what you want retirement to look like. Most importantly, that you don't run out of money. That's most important, right? but it's very much like a puzzle. Just all these different pieces. We got to start figuring out, how do we put these pieces together? Do we start with the edges, or do we start in the middle? Where does your puzzle start? What's your vision? What do you want to look at? And that's the first thing, is helping people create a vision for what life is going to look like once they're out of the workforce.
But then
how do we turn that into reality?
That's awesome. I really love that analogy, like putting the pieces together to have the puzzle of what your retirement life will look like.
Because if you just kind of randomly, start drawing money out, you're going to pay more in taxes, you're going to make the wrong decision with Social Security, which kind of ties to the next version of your question. Ultimately, I decided that, where my true passion was helping women accomplish retirement, to achieve retirement. In most cases, where they've either gone through a divorce, or they've been widowed, or they may just be single by choice, whatever the case might be. How the decisions that women have to make when they're on their own are even more critical, and anybody on their own, really. But my background is very much that exact story, right? So my mother was a single mother. I was raised by a single mother. I didn't even know my biological father. He was gone before I was a year old, so I have no memories whatsoever. And even when he passed away, probably 5-6 years ago, I'm not even sure. I never had no communication, no nothing, and vice versa. Of course, he never really made any attempts to connect with me either. So, you see the challenge that she went through, and she did remarry, but then she got divorced as well. But then you think about now as she's getting close to retirement, she's in that window when we kind of talk about that, what I call the retirement red zone, when you're less than 5 years away, those decisions become critical, and she's right in the middle of that. Yeah. So, unfortunately, and this is before I really got into the real depths of retirement income planning. She actually made a mistake with her Social Security benefits, because she did qualify for what would have been ex-spousal's benefits, but she didn't realize that. So she started with her own. And it would have made a huge difference. She could have actually let her benefit continue to grow. But then I saw the positives too, in that, being raised by a single mother, my grandparents were extremely important in my life. I spent, I don't know, it probably wasn't 50-50, but it was close, right? In terms of time I spent with my mom and then the time I spent with my grandparents. And my grandfather, he's actually one I call daddy. You're 1 year old. Everybody around you is calling this man daddy. What else would you call him?
Right, exactly.
So I never did the granddad or papa or all the different names that granddads get called now, because that's what my mom called him. That's what my aunt called him. That's what my uncle called him.
Yeah.
What else would I call him? So until he passed, that's what I called him. And unfortunately, my grandmother was 62 when he passed away. From that standpoint, it's still young. 62-year-old being a widow and now being in a position where you have to make all these decisions on your own, right? And for her, this is a woman that barely drove a car on her own, much less be put in a position of making all these financial decisions on her own. But she does an amazing job. I give her advice from time to time. We talk about things, what she do. But when you think about her situation, where she actually was able to take advantage of the Social Security system, in that she could start her own benefits when he passed and then switch to survivor benefits when she turned 70. So it was actually worked in her favor. But so many women don't understand, and so many people in general, again, that's not one I can really say that it's just women. It's people in general don't understand how all the different potential benefits of Social Security work. Survivor benefits, ex-spouse survivor benefits, spousal benefits, ex-spousal benefits, all these different things. What age can you start? What age should you start? What if you're working? It's crazy.
And then they keep changing them.
They keep changing. They do it every so often. They try to get rid of them. And then you hear, unfortunately, you hear the stories about, Social Security is going to go broke in 2033 or 2034 or 20. Nobody knows, right? So, but that's what the headline says. It's going broke. Well, and it's not. And that's, no, this is another rabbit hole I go down a lot, unfortunately. So it's not going broke.
Yeah.
So right now it says, okay, if we get to 2034, they'll be able to pay 80% of the benefits. So our friends in Congress, if they don't do anything, plan on getting a 20% reduction, and you're going to, it's not going to help.
Right.
But also if you know in advance, and again, we're 10 years out. So, if you have to plan for that, if it makes you feel better to say, hey, I'm going to get a reduction and I can still be okay.
Yeah.
But it's not going broke. They'll figure out something, they'll wait to the last minute. And
well, it's interesting because they've trained us now to not count on Social Security benefits. Like, they really have set that in our heads. And you're telling us, no. You can count on, not count on them, but use them. They're still there. They're still available. And this is what you can do. Absolutely. And again, like I said early on, Social Security is one of the most underrated sources of income. For so many people, unfortunately, it's their source of income. It's the only source of income. But hardly anything else out there is guaranteed for life and increases based on cost of the living. Even if you're one of the fortunate ones to have a pension, most pensions don't have a cost of living increase. They're basically, you start at $3,000 a month when you retire, it's $3,000 a month 20 years later. Right. Social Security increases with cost of living. And we've seen the impact of that over the last couple of years with, the drastic increase in inflation that we've seen. This year, Social Security went up 8.7%.
that's not nothing.
That's a lot more than most raises I hear about.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's one of those things that, it's not necessarily going to be enough, but it provides that baseline of income where you can say, okay, I know I can count on that. And again, most likely, just to throw another, curveball into the equation of Social Security, for the most part, people who are already receiving benefits are most likely not going to get impacted. It's going to be the Gen X, the Gen Ys that are probably going to get impacted by whatever changes happen
Oh, great.
down the road, right? Yeah, I get it.
I'm
But
a
again,
Gen Xer. Come on, man.
so am I. I'm right there with you. But that's what I tell if for younger people, I say, just count on, just if you're planning, which you should be, just say, hey, let me count on about 20% less than what my Social Security statement says I'm going to get. And if I can still make it or achieve my retirement goals, then I'll probably be okay. And if it's, I always tell people at that age, you probably want to treat Social Security as more the icing on the cake, not part of the cake.
Right.
Right. So
yeah, that's like the spending money.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be there in some form or fashion, and there's so many different things they could do, from raising the income limits on how much of your income is taxed for Social Security purposes, adjusting cost of living increases. There's different things they can do. They just got to get on the ball and get it done.
So let's get out of the office. Let's talk about what you are doing when you're not working. What do you do for fun?
So what I do for fun. So one of my favorite things, and to me, I'm not a very good, I do meditate about, try to do it about 10 minutes every morning, but I'm not very good at it. My mind wanders constantly. So it's very hard. But what I do, and for me is more of what I consider the meditation, is a morning workout or a morning walk. So I get up in the morning. I'm an early morning person. I'm up at 5 a.m. It doesn't matter. Whether I set an alarm or not, I'm up at 5 o'clock. Doesn't matter what time I go to bed either. Unfortunately, if I go to bed at midnight, I'm up at 5. It's just the way I've gotten used to it now.
You're wired that way.
I'm wired that way. So I don't know what to do about it or how it happened, but that is what it is. but I love getting in the morning and working out. It's whether I'm listening to a podcast or listening to, music or whatever it might be. It kind of gets that's where I get away from work, where I get my brain out of the office. And then the other days when I'm not going to the gym, I do about a 4-mile walk. And that, to me, I tell people all the time, if you're not taking a morning walk, then you're doing something wrong. Because it's, for me, getting out in nature and just, again, the chance to get away, get your mind off of the day-to-day, your challenges, your worries, your stress. To me, there's nothing better than getting out for a walk and just being in nature and enjoying what's around you.
But I'm very lazy. I don't like to walk, Eric.
You got to get over that.
Don't be lazy then.
Right. Well, and that's part of it. Again, just find what works for you. I mean, obviously it's not everybody doesn't like to walk, but for me, it's more than it's better than meditation for me. That's the time, again, I can get my mind off of things, especially on weekends. That it's really hard. For financial advisors, you take a lot of personal responsibility for your clients. There's almost constantly on your mind, whether it's somebody that, we unfortunately had a client pass away not long ago. So you're worried about their family and what they're going through. And,
a lot of stress.
We go through any challenging market, 2022 was a crazy year all the way around. So you're wondering, okay, how are people doing? Are they worried about their money? Realistically, for the most part, we've done the right thing. So I shouldn't worry. I tell them not to worry. So why would I be worrying if I tell them not to?
Yeah.
So it's, do as I say, not as I do. But again, when you got 70 people, 70 households that are, and you feel like they're reliant on you, it's hard not to have some level of worry. So that's where the walks really come in for me to get my mind off of those types of things. But my wife and I, we love to travel. We've got a big trip to Italy later in this year that we're extremely excited about. It's the first time we've actually gone out of the country other than, Mexico.
Nobody counts Mexico.
Nobody counts Mexico. So really excited about that. And just the planning, we've been married. We're actually, this episode will probably come out after this, of course, but, our 27th anniversary is coming up next week as we're recording this. So in 27 years with a woman that's amazing. She's been there for me and with me through thick and thin. Now being we tried when we did this deal, when we started Blake Wealth Management, October 2020, we said we're doing this together. She had taught 25 years, had some asthma issues around the time of the pandemic. We just said, okay, you're done. You're not going back in the classroom. So I said, well, why don't you, I'm going to make, this is a big move. I'm going to need somebody who can be there by my side to help me to do these things that, I shouldn't be doing or don't know how to do.
Right.
So she joined me at the same time, October 2020, as our director of first impressions.
Oh,
I
like that.
Yeah, and she makes an amazing impression on our clients. So again, she knew us, a few of our clients from different things we've done, different events and whatnot. But our clients love her. She can talk to anybody. So it's been an amazing experience to say, okay, when you've been married for 25 years to a teacher, people ask, well, how does that work? How's it like work? What's it like working with your wife, or what's it like working with your husband? I'm like, we're making up time. We're making up lost time at this point. We spend, pretty close to 24/7 together, but this is time that we didn't have. People think that teachers' lives are so easy in many cases. I think there's more of a realization now with everything we've dealt with the last few years, but it's, they get 3 months off for the summer and they get this a break and that break. And that's just recovery time from all the crap they have to put up with during the school year. So I tell people, this is just, we're just making up time that we lost, being married to a teacher. So it's been amazing.
Congratulations to the both of you.
Thank you.
If you had all of the money in the world, Eric, what would you do?
This is probably going to sound very cliche, but I would be doing exactly what I'm doing now. I think this, the difference, and it really comes down to, you have to see the look on somebody's face when you've made a difference in their life. And what a financial advisor can do, the impact you can have. I had a client just recently that they've been with me since the beginning, pretty much. So like maybe year 1, year 2, somewhere in there. I have been bugging them for over 20 years to get their estate plan done. They finally got it done. And you just see that there's like this weight lifted off their shoulders, that it's just, we got it done. If something happens to us, and their family is just as important as our family is to us, it is to them. But knowing that they've taken now the steps that if anything happens, their family is going to be taken care of. Everything's going to be okay. They're going to be, they're not going to have to worry. They're not going to have to worry about money. They're not going to have to, stress about who's going to be making the decisions and all these different things that people, if they don't have their estate plan done or they don't have financial planning done in period, that can crop up and really cause issues with tension and family stress and all these different things. But those types of scenarios that truly make a difference in people's lives, there's nothing better than that. Again, when you see that weight lifted off somebody's shoulders, or the tension in their eyes that just kind of goes away when they know they're going to be okay, they're going to be able to retire. Maybe they're going to retire sooner than when they thought they could. Again, there's nothing better than that. There's probably other things to do. I've always wanted to be, I thought if I didn't do this, I would be a coach. I love basketball. We're kind of a basketball family. So, yes, but there's so much of a correlation between coaching and financial advisors that it's just helping put people in the right position to be successful. Oh. That's really what it comes down to. And there's nothing. So if I had the opportunity to coach, maybe that's what I would, if I had all the money in the world, maybe I would look at being a coach, but I have a hard time thinking that's going to be any better than what I do every day now.
Well, and that means you are living and working your purpose,
Absolutely.
You know what you want to be doing, and you're doing it, mister. So let me ask you one thing that most people don't know about you.
One thing that they would not have a clue.
Yeah.
The people that knew me in high school, they would be completely shocked at what I'm doing right now.
Were you the class clown?
I know. No. I was the quiet guy. I was the quiet guy. As you know, my name is Eric Blake. 3/4 of the people didn't know my first name.
Oh,
I'm even today, people still call me Blake, but it's more because you got 2 first names. That's just going to happen.
Right.
But back then, I'm not sure people knew what my first name really was. So, and my wife's going to kill me for saying something like this, but my in-laws, they have no clue what I actually do. And this is, once they find out what I'm doing, they're going to be completely shocked, because they've known me as long as she has. So,
yeah.
So when you think about, where I was 30 years ago, and the person I was and what I've become, nobody would believe the person I was back then versus the person I am now.
So financial
I was the
advisor.
quiet guy.
Podcaster.
All the above. You got it. That they in their minds, what does he know about he doesn't even talk to anybody. Cause I'm still relatively quiet. I'm not a very good small talker, how many guys are, but
Yeah.
but when it comes to again, sitting down one-on-one with our clients, that when you find your peg in, it's back to the passion. If you find your passion, you can talk about pretty much anything. But there would not be a single person I knew in high school that would believe what I'm doing right now. that I'm sitting here talking to you about our first podcast episode, talking one-on-one with people. We did in March of 2021. No, is that right? No, 2022. We did our first International Women's Day event. So most people don't even know there's a International Women's Day.
That's right.
March 8th, International Women's Day. 2022, we decided to do an Women's History Month event, and that's what we decided to do. We did an International Women's Day lunch. So last year we had about 60 women. I did my thing. I spoke and talked about my passions and all that kind of stuff. And again, people wouldn't believe that was me up there talking. People that knew me 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And we did it again this year, and we had 80 women. So
good.
It's one of those things that, I would, and I probably wouldn't believe it either. If somebody told me 30 years from now, you're going to be a financial advisor, you're going to be starting a podcast, you're going to be talking in front of people, I would say, no, you're wrong. That's not me. I can't do that. And even you still get nervous even today, but it's again, when you're making a difference in people's lives, it's a little easier to get over that hump.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're definitely making a difference. So let me ask you a little bit about the podcast. Now that we've got the podcast, we're moving and grooving, we're getting things done. Who is it that you most want to listen to this podcast? Who do you want to reach?
The people that I'm looking to reach are, again, going to be primarily women. Women who are looking for education, who want to make smart decisions when it comes to retirement. As far as our clients, and for the most part, we're focused on women who are less than 5 years from retirement, typically even maybe less than 3. But that doesn't necessarily have to be our audience. Hopefully those are the people that are many of the people that are going to be listening. But it's women who have gone through a divorce, or been widowed, or they're just ready to take control of their own financial future. They want to take control of their retirement, rather than, in many cases where women have often delegated that responsibility to the husband. And unfortunately, when you think about many of the scenarios that we deal with, it's a woman that is, their early 60s, maybe late 50s, early 60s. But now, as they're approaching retirement on their own, more likely than not, the vision they had of retirement over the last 30 years has just been turned up on its head.
Yeah.
They said, I'm going to be retiring with this person. We're going to be together. We're going to be doing these different things. But now it's back to that puzzle. We've got a different puzzle now. The pieces have all been mixed up. Now we got to put them back together based on what's most important to you. How are we going to go about doing that? So that's what I'm looking to do, is provide education, talking about some of these issues with Social Security, talking about tax planning. It's been out there for a long time, but there was an article that came out March of this year that said the wage gap, the gender wage gap, has not changed in 20 years. Women still on average make 82% of what men make. Yeah. So what does that mean to women? That means your Social Security benefits are lower. Your pension benefits, if you have one, are lower. Your savings, you probably haven't had the opportunity to save. Not only do you have the wage gap, you also have the statistical probability that the woman has taken some amount of time out of the workforce to care for family, whether that's children when they were younger, or that was parents when they got older. So more than likely, they've lost some time in the workforce as well. Now, from my perspective, that does not mean you can't have the retirement that you deserve. But what it does mean is you need to be proactive. You need to educate yourself on, how do I make that reality then? How do I make sure I'm making the right decisions with Social Security, that I'm not giving up benefits that I'm eligible, that I deserve, whether that's benefits off of an ex-spouse, or benefits or survivor benefits from a spouse that passed away, taxes. So that's kind of the way I look at it. There's really 3 big pieces of that puzzle that have to be incorporated. It's investing smarter, it's minimizing taxes, it's maximizing Social Security. If you can figure out how to do those 3 things, you're probably going to put yourself in a pretty good position. to live the retirement again, live the retirement that you deserve.
Well, I love it, Blake. I mean, Eric, that was a little joke.
You
Just a
did
little
it.
joke. I actually do love it. I love this. I cannot wait to dig in and find out more. And I am very eager to hear what you have planned for us.
I'm excited. Again, I've already got a number of topics outlined. I've got guests in mind. So I'm excited to bring some true value to the lives of the people that choose to listen. Hopefully they're going to benefit from it. And again, I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, and that's great. So how do people get in touch with you?
So what I would suggest is check out our website. It's blakewealthmanagement.com. You can learn a lot. We've got a lot of different free resources on there. We've got a link to our YouTube video. More importantly, we've got a link to our actual process that we go through with prospective clients who are looking to learn more about our firm, are potentially interested in engaging with us. Just hit the start here. If you look at the very top, there's a big green start here. You click that, you can actually see our process. And we're going to, and I'm planning to do an episode on that itself, specifically on that, why you should have a process, why your financial advisor needs a process,
yes,
how you can benefit from that. So that's definitely going to be one of our episodes soon to come. But that's the best way that to give it a chance to learn more about us. If you choose to, the first step in our process is just a 15-minute introductory phone call. Get to learn about each other, ask any questions that you might have for me. I'm going to ask you a lot of questions about what your goals are, what you're trying to accomplish. And then we say go from where we go from there.
All right. Well, I am looking forward to it. This was a total pleasure for me. So thank you for allowing me to be part of this journey with you. I
appreciate you. You make this easy. So I appreciate the help.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us today. Please like, follow, and share this podcast with your friends. Until next time, I'm Wendy McConnell.
That's it for today's episode of the Simply Retirement Podcast. We hope you found our insights and advice helpful in planning for a fulfilling retirement. Don't forget to take action on what you've learned today. Visit our website at blakewealthmanagement.com to learn more about our firm and review our Simply Retirement Roadmap process to get you on the right path to the retirement you deserve. And don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Thank you for joining us on this journey, and we look forward to helping you achieve your retirement goals. Remember, retirement is not the end of the road. It is the start of a new journey. So embrace it and make the most of it. Until next time, take care. Content here is for illustrative purposes and general information only. It is not legal, tax, or individualized financial advice, nor is it a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any specific security, or engage in any specific trading strategy. Results will vary. Past performance is no indication of future results or success. Market conditions change continuously. This commentary reflects the personal opinions, viewpoints, and analyses of Blake Wealth Management. It does not necessarily represent those of RFG Advisory, Private Client Services, their clients, or their employees. This commentary should not be regarded as a description of advisory services provided by Blake Wealth Management or RFG Advisory, or performance returns of any client. The views reflected in the commentary are subject to change at any time without notice. Securities offered by registered representatives of Private Client Services. Member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered by investment advisory representatives of RFG Advisory, a registered investment advisor. Private Client Services, Blake Wealth Management, and RFG Advisory are unaffiliated entities. Advisory services are only offered to clients or prospective clients where RFG Advisory and its representatives are properly licensed or exempt from licensure. No advisory services may be rendered by RFG Advisory unless a client agreement is in place.